Welcome to this session. In this session, after that, we have completed sequencing the activities. Now it's the time to estimate the activity duration. This will be the first part of discussing the estimating the activity duration. And this session will focus on techniques, tools for estimating the time required to complete each of these activities that is involved in your schedule planning. So accurate duration estimates are critical for creating a realistic project schedule and ensuring a timely project completion. We have the key ITTOs here, including the inputs, tools, and techniques that these we are gonna explore each of them, including the analogous estimating, the parametric estimating, the three-point estimates, bottom-up estimates, and the other tools that we have covered earlier. The outputs here would be the duration estimates and the basis of estimates, including the project documents updates. But what exactly is, let's say, activity estimation? So again, as we say that activity estimation will help you to estimate the time required to complete each of the activities. After that, we have sequenced them. But why we need, estimating our activities? Estimating activities duration provides the foundation for developing the project schedule. And these estimates help allocate the resources effectively, also identifying potential risks and setting a realistic expectation for the stakeholders. Accurate estimates also enables project managers to monitor the progress and take corrective actions when necessary. So here are the key ITTOs for estimating activity durations, including the inputs, including the, let's say, when we say that the project management plan, and we have, if you recall in the previous session, we said that the activity list would be one of the inputs that we are going to use to start estimating the activity duration. And the tools here we have again covered, including the analogous estimating, the parametric, and three-point estimation. And the outputs would be the activity duration estimate and the basis of estimate. So the process of estimating activities duration involves specific ITTO. Also, you may use the project scope statement as one of the key inputs for your estimating activity. All of these, let's say, tools, they are different from each other, but each of them has, let's say, a key benefit in order to help you having an accurate estimate. The outputs again here is the activity duration estimate and documentation that explains how these estimates were, let's say, made. Now to start with one of the key techniques and tool here, which is the analogous estimate. So analogous estimating, also known as the top-down estimating, which relies on historical data from similar projects or previous projects to estimate activity durations. And this technique is quick and inexpensive, but may lack of precision or accuracy, let's say. It is most effective in the early phases of the project when detailed information is limited. Next, let's look into the parametric estimating. Parametric estimating uses mathematical tools or mathematical models to calculate activity durations. This technique is more accurate than analogous estimating, and it's ideal for repetitive tasks with established metrics. For example, estimating the time to paint the room based on square footage and the painter speed. The third method here that we can use to estimate our activity durations, it's the three-point estimate. So three-point estimating is one of the most important, let's say, concepts that you need to expect a question or two the PMP exam. But what exactly is three-point estimate? So three-point estimating accounts for uncertainty by considering three scenarios, including the optimistic, the pessimistic, and most likely. And the formula, which gives more weight to the most likely scenario, provides a balanced estimate, and this technique helps to reduce the bias and creates a more reliable estimate. So, what exactly we mean by optimistic and most likely and pessimistic? So, optimistic, you can think of, let's say, the best case scenario. Most likely, the most likely scenario. The pessimistic, which is the worst case scenario. On the next slide, we are gonna have an example just to make this more clear to you. But the formula here, it takes the optimistic, let's say, value. Let's say that you are painting a room that it needs, let's say, 5 days as the best case scenario. Then you have the most likely scenario, which is, for example, a 6 days, and you need to multiply it into four. And the worst case scenario, which is the pessimistic, you can say that it will take, let's say, 10 days. And then you divide it by six and you come up with the, let's say, the three-point estimate for that activity. Now let's look into one of the real-world example when, let's say, developing a software or having a feature that it needs to be developed within a software itself. So let's apply this three-point estimating into this scenario, assuming that there's a software development or task has an optimistic estimate of 3 days and the most likely estimate of 5 days. And the pessimistic estimate is 9 days. Again, optimistic is the best case scenario, most likely is the most likely, and then the pessimistic, which is the worst case scenario. In our case, we have 9 days. Using this formula, the expected duration can just calculate it, including the, let's say the calculation can be 3, which is the optimistic estimate, and then 4 times 5, which is the most likely estimate. Then we end up adding it up to the pessimistic, which is the worst case scenario, which is 9 days, and then we divide it in by 6. And then the result here would be, let's say, 5.33 days. This is the way of how calculating the three-point estimate. And this calculation provides a realistic time frame considering, let's say, the uncertainty. What are the best practices when doing activity estimation or duration activity estimate? The best practices for estimating durations includes involving team members with relevant experience, also leveraging historical data and industry benchmarks, as well as documenting the assumptions and constraints that you have made your, say, duration estimate based on. And these steps ensures the estimate are well informed, transparent, and justifiable. Common challenges that you might face when doing duration estimation, including, let's say, overestimating or underestimating due the optimist bias. Also, lack of historical data for reference that you have no, let's say, reference or you have no past projects or any historical data that you can use to estimate these durations. Also, let's say the misalignment with the team expertise with the task requirements. So, addressing these challenges requires a careful analysis and validation of the estimates. To summarize our session about, let's say, finding the activity or estimating the activity durations, we say that accurate activity duration estimates are very essential for developing a realistic project schedule. Techniques like the Analogous, parametric, and 3 points estimating provides a various approaches based on the available data and contexts. By following the best practices and addressing common challenges, project managers can create a reliable schedule that guides a successful project execution.